Hey tribe, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and I hope you like this video. This is In Contempt, Season 1, Episode 7. So look y'all, we got a lot to unpack with this episode now. Y'all know I was pissed off last week and I'm still not sure how I feel about this, but I'm going to tell you who I do like. I do like Allison. Now Allison is Bennett's fiance. So we left off last week after Gwen and slept with Bennett at his house, in his bathroom, at his bridal shower, or him and his fiance's bridal shower. And on the way home, she texts Bennett like, "Yo, I don't know what's up. Like, this is weird." And Allison texts her back and is like, "Yeah, we need to talk." Now I don't know if Bennett confessed, Allison figured it out, or what. But the episode opens up with Allison, Bennett, and Gwen at a coffee house, and Allison is like, "Look, let me explain something to y'all. I knew something was up between the two of y'all, but I chose to ignore it. But after the incident the other night, this is what I have decided." And she goes through this whole thing about her being Buddhist and, blah, blah, blah. But basically, she breaks it down for them. She was like, "Look, I love you and I want to be with you, but what I'm not going to do is be the other woman. And what I'm not going to do is be with a man who's living with regrets or living with what shoulda, coulda, woulda." So here's what breaks it down. You got 30 days to figure this shit out. At the end of 30 days, you're going to decide whether you want to be with me or whether you want to be with Gwen. You're going to get it out your system. Y'all going to do whatever it is y'all need to do. And at the end of 30 days, we're going to that's what it is. And I was like, okay, Allison. All right. Okay. Put it out there. And Gwen gets ready to say something. And Allison is like, "Gwen, if I was you, what I wouldn't do is open my mouth right now." And Gwen was like, okay. And then Allison turns to Bennett and says, "Oh, don't you worry. I got 30 days too." I said, "I know that's right, bitch. You tell him. You ain't the only one that's going to be playing for the next 30 days. But she said, "Look, you my man and I want to be with you, but I'm not going to be no afterthought. But I love you enough to try to see if this is just a fling you need to get out your system or if you really have feelings for this woman." Now, I wouldn't have carried it like that. But okay, Allison, do you, boo? And even Gwen was like, "Yeah, it would have been some knucking up. It'd have been me." So then we see Gwen and Tracy talking at the apartment, and Tracy tells Gwen that the judge done left his wife for her. And Tracy said last week, this was just some fun sex. Like, you turning this into something more than it is, and yeah, I'm not really feeling it. Like, she told him last week that, "I don't know why you left your wife for me, because I was cool with the affair. Like, I knew what it was and I wasn't mad about it. Like, what is wrong with you? Why are you making this into something it's not? You're taking the fun out of it." And there's a reason why Gwen sort of touches on it a little bit about, what is it about you not wanting to make commitments? Like, what is it about you dating unavailable men? So, clearly Tracy got some stuff going on. We know she's got a family situation with the abuse and everything that she's already opened up about, but it seems like it's some other stuff there too, because, women that voluntarily decide that they're going to sleep with a married man. So the case of the week is, remember, Gwen is still on suspension, so she's not in the office. So it's the rookie working with Charlie. And the case of the week is a case of a young man who got illegally stopped and frisked by the police and ended up getting arrested because he, according to the police, resisted arrest. But basically, he was like, "Look, I know my rights. I know what you can and can't do, and you can't stop me without probable cause. You didn't have probable cause. I'm tired of being, harassed by the police." And I finally just was like, "No, I'm not gonna let you search me." Well, that this hits close to home with with Charlie, because of what happened to him the last 2 episodes ago, where he was arrested for no reason, and the police, sort of roughed him up a little bit and treated him like some shit. So, of course, Charlie is on one. He's like, oh, he asked the guy, he was like, "What do you want to do? Do you want to take," because they offered him a plea. They were like, "Do you want to take the plea, or do you want to try the case?" And the dude was like, "You know what? I'm sick of this. Like, I want to fight. Like, I want to try the case." And Bennett told him, he was like, "It's not going to be easy, but I got your back because I know what it feels like. I've been there and I've done that." So They go to court for the, I guess, the preliminary hearing or what have you, because what he explains to Rookie is because of the whole stop and frisk law that went to the Supreme Court and everything. Police officers now have to fill out a form every time they stop a person that they believe was guilty, and what the reason why they stopped them. But what, excuse me, y'all. Excuse me. But what Bennett, I keep saying Bennett, what Charlie was explaining to Rookie is you want to get a subpoena for those forms for every time this particular cop has stopped somebody to see if there's a pattern, to see if he's overzealous, to see if it's legit or whatever. And so, and he tells her it's a long shot. Like, they're not going to want to turn over that. Like, it's a long shot, but if we could get it, then we could show the pattern. And so when they first go to court, of course, the Rookie is nervous and she's kind of stumbling over her words or whatever. And Charlie sort of takes over because, you know, their client is like, yo, is she new? Like, what's up? So Charlie takes over, and Charlie does a pretty good job. And then they start talking about the subpoena. And Rookie gets up and starts spouting facts and figures and starts explaining why they need the subpoena and why it would help their case. And I mean, even the judge was like, okay, I love to see when a rookie getting their footing together or what have you. But the judge is hesitant about making his decision about the subpoena. And he's like, look, it's under advisement. I'll let you know. And Charlie is like, yo, what's up, Judge? You know, Judge is like, don't push your luck. I said I will review it. So, put a pin in the case. We'll come back to that. So, Gwen is at the apartment. You know, she's warming up a TV dinner. She got a mask on. You know, she got her hair wrapped up. Ding dong, the bell rings. I know it's Bennett. Right? She opens the door, it's Bennett. And he's like, look. She's like, oh my God, you know, she's like, oh, you know, I wasn't expecting company. He was like, look, how spontaneous are you? And she was like, what you mean? He was like, look, I got a car waiting for us downstairs, pack a bag, let's go. He was like, 30 days starts now. Now, mind you, when Allison first gave him the ultimatum and walked out of the coffee shop, he went chasing after her like, yo, like, no, I can't. What's going on with this? But I guess he's decided, fuck it. All right. I got 30 days. Let me do the damn thing. And, of course, Gwen, you know, she's all happy about it. She runs in the bedroom to get dressed, and she starts twerking and shit, you know. But now let me say this. Had the situation not evolved the way it did, I would have been like, oh, that is so romantic. That is so sweet. That is so great. But because of the way this whole thing went down, y'all know how I felt about that shit last week. I was like, yeah, all right, 30 days. So he takes her to this, like, wellness retreat center, which I knew off the break. I was like, this ain't Gwen. This is not Gwen. Like, dude. I mean, these people doing yoga, people walking around in robes. Gwen is like, what the fuck is this? Because I thought he was going to take her to, like, a little bed and breakfast or something. And he was like, yo, you know, it's a nice place. You can relax here. And immediately I'm thinking, see, that's the kind of shit he did with Allison. You know, people doing yoga and people, like they had these different classes like horseback riding and, horse painting and vegan cooking and, dream makers and stuff like that. And I was like, see, yeah, that's the kind of shit he's doing with Allison. I was like, I already knew that was going to be a disaster waiting to happen off the break. So Tracy finally stops running from the judge because the judge had been blowing up her phone. And she had been avoiding him, and she finally agrees to meet up with him. And he takes her out to eat. And Tracy is like, what the fuck is this? And he was like, what do you mean? This is lunch. And she was like, I thought we had a rule, no public outings. And he was like, well, I done left my wife now, so we can be seen in public. And she was like, that's not, like, no. The rule wasn't because of that. The rule was because all I wanted to do was screw you. And you trying to turn this into more. So she sits down to have lunch with him, and he starts trying to ask her questions about her childhood and her family. And Tracy is like, not really, no. And he was like, you never asked me why I married my wife. And she was like, because I didn't care. Well, you never asked me why I never left her. And she was like, I just figured you didn't have the balls. And he was like, okay. And so he is really trying to turn this into a date, and Tracy is really just not here for it. She is like, look, we had the perfect thing going on, and you didn't screw this whole thing up, and I'm just not here for it. And she just gets up and walks out, and he's like, well, look, I got a hotel room for us tonight. And she was like, can we just screw? Like, do we have to have, is it going to be 20 questions again, or can we just have some good sex? And she was like, well, I mean, he was like, we can just have sex. Fine. So we go back to the case, and they do they question the cop, and then they question the witness, and I think they do a really good job of establishing that this is some bullshit, but it's not quite enough evidence to prove that it's some bullshit. And so I keep wanting to call him Bennett. Charlie brings up the subpoena again, and the judge is like, look, it's still under advisement, but you could tell the judge wants to give them the subpoena, but it's basically a Pandora's box, because once you open up the subpoena, then it's going to be everybody, whoever gets arrested, is going to ask for the subpoena again, right? So Charlie is getting frustrated because, of course, this is personal to him. You know what I mean? Like, this case is him all over again and what happened to him. And the prosecutor kind of feels the same way, so she offers them a deal, basically, and basically the deal is, we'll drop all the charges in 6 months if you don't get arrested again. Isn't that the whole reason why we're here? Because this guy said he keeps getting harassed by the police and he keeps getting arrested. He said he's been arrested over 40 times in the last 11 years over some bullshit. Like, he's never been actually convicted of anything, or even, not arrested, stopped. And nothing's ever actually come of it. He just keeps getting harassed. And he even testified to the fact that, he leaves his house earlier than he has to, for the purposes of, just in case I get stopped by the police. He talked about how he lost jobs because he was late for job interviews, things like that. Like, he testified to, like, this whole, and he was saying, basically, this time I decided enough is enough. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm tired. And so the prosecutor offers that deal, and he's just like, no, I'm not going to take it, because I probably will get harassed again in the next 6 months, like, just on some GP shit. So the judge still hasn't made a decision on the subpoena. Then we see Tracy and the judge at the hotel room, and Tracy is having the most boring sex. Like, they show them in these different positions, and Tracy is just like rolling her eyes, and she's just not there. She's just not connected. And the judge isn't getting it either, because I think she's been pretty clear that all she wants from you is some good sex. Like, and now she's just not in it anymore. Like, it's not fun anymore for her. Whatever her mental screw-ups are, like, she's just not here for it. And so the judge, again, not reading the tea leaves, the judge turns around and offers her, says, let's get an apartment together. Tracy's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I don't know how else to say this to you. I don't want anything more from you than a good screw. Like, I don't know what else to say. And, of course, she gets up and she gets dressed and leaves. Back at the wellness center, Gwen and Bennett are trying to make the best out of the situation. Bennett is all in it, and he's cool, but Gwen is just not comfortable. She is just like everything. She's making fun of the different classes. She thinks everything is just really corny. And they end up doing this Dream Maker class. And one of the people in the class recognizes Bennett. As, she's like, oh my God, I've read all your books, da da da. She was like, yeah, I just read on Twitter that you got engaged. Is this your fiance? So, of course, they all sitting there looking crazy, like, and he says, nah, this is my sister. Honey? Y'all know Gwen went straight black girl on him. Gwen laid his ass. They went back to the room. Gwen laid his ass out. She was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I'm your sister? Like, that is, how embarrassing is that you calling me your sister? Like, what kind of shit is that? And he was like, yo, I didn't know what to say. She recognized me. I kind of froze. It just came out. Like, like, how do I explain without giving this woman all my business that she really don't need to know? And Gwen was like, you ain't got to explain shit. All you got to say is, no, this is not Allison. This is Gwen, and keep it moving. Like, Allison know what's up. She know, what the deal is, and that this other person don't need to know nothing. But for you to call me your sister, like, that was so disrespectful. So, of course, they argue about it. They make up. They have sex. because Gwen really want to be there with him. So, she was in her feelings and she was hurt, but at the same time, she went along with, she let him sort of sweet talk her back into it. And again, to me, the whole situation is bullshit, but his explanation, I understood. I didn't say it was right, because I'd have left. I'm your sister? Okay, cool. All right, then. Watch your sister roll. Uber, Lyft, what's up? But like I said, they make up, whatever. So, back to the case. Charlie doesn't get the subpoena. And of course, now he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't have a backup plan. Because again, now it's the cop's word against this guy's word. And there's really he doesn't know a way out of it. Well, Rookie, because she's a millennial. So she thinks like millennials think. So Rookie was like, well, what we need to do is find a way to find out if this cop he's done this before. Like, if he keeps pulling over this dude, he's probably pulled over 50 million guys in that neighborhood. We just got to find him. And Charlie's like, well, how are we going to do that? And I immediately knew she was going to do social media. I wasn't sure exactly in what form. So Charlie makes a video basically saying, look, he holds up a picture of the cop. He was like, look, my name is Charlie so-and-so. I'm a attorney. I have a client who has this situation. I need to know if there's anybody else who's out there who's been harassed by this cop. And if you have any video evidence, that would be great. And so, but of course they're like, well, who has enough following? Because they only have a continuance for 24 hours. So he was like, who has enough following that we can get it out there fast enough to hopefully get some results by the time we have to go back to court. Ding, 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 Bennett, right? Because Bennett's the celebrity writer with probably 10 million followers. So that's when Charlie finds out that Gwen is actually with Bennett, because Tracy tells him, he was like, well, you think Tracy, basically, I'm sorry. The Rookie, Tracy, and Charlie are having a conversation about how they could get in touch with Bennett. And he was like, well, you think Tracy will do it? And she was like, well, they were like, well, Charlie was like, well, where is Tracy? And Tracy was like, where is Gwen? And Tracy was like, oh, she's with Bennett. Like, whatever. And so, she was like, you want me to call her? And Charlie was like, no, I'll do it. I'll call her. And so I was like, okay, Charlie, let me see how you about to carry this. And remember, Charlie has got the hell out the car in the middle of the road and called another chick last week when he found out what happened. But he apologized. He was like, look, I was out of line. And she was like, no, you weren't out of line. The situation was kind of fucked up. And I'm sorry. And he was like, she was like, are we good? He was like, yeah, we're good. But can you do me a favor? And the way it went down, it didn't play out like I'm only apologizing because I need something from you. Like, I felt that he really was sincere, and she was really sincere, because she was like, yo, I just can't lose you as a friend. Because even though they are friends with benefits, I think they have a genuine friendship. And Charlie actually likes Gwen, but Charlie just a hoe. And Gwen knows he's a hoe. So then we see, okay, Rookie is out with her friends. All of them are white, because remember last week she told us she's her whole life she's been the only black girl in the room. So they're all white. They've all got these great jobs. One of her friends is working at Snapchat making gazillion dollars. Another friend is working at a law firm, doing great things. And she's telling them about her situation, like, oh wow, I have 50 cases at a time. I don't have my own office. And they're like, oh my God, you've got to get out of there. And she's like, why? Like, they're like, you're working with criminals. And remember, that's how she felt when she first got there. Like, everybody was a criminal. She just couldn't understand how they got themselves into this situation. And she was like, no, they're not. She was like, I'm working with some people who just gotten caught up in some really bad situations because they're poor and they just can't get the representation. And she gives them the example of her case last week of the lady who went to jail for writing a bad check, and her case of the guy getting harassed by the police for no reason. And they're just like, oh my God. Like, they're just giving her that whole, oh, you just got to get out of there. Like, I just can't believe you're working with those poor people. And you see her face. She's looking around and she just has that, I'm in the Twilight Zone. Like, how the fuck did I get here? And you can see that she's definitely evolving and growing, and she's just in a different place than where she once was. So that was a good thing and an interesting thing to see. Then, so Bennett agrees to tweet out the message. He was like, look, I'm gonna put you in touch with my publicist. They'll handle it. So they go to court the next day, and they have 40 witnesses that have all been harassed by this same cop. And the judge is like, because the judge wanted to give the subpoena, but he couldn't give that subpoena because, like they said, it would have been Pandora's box. Like every time somebody got harassed by the police, they'd have been getting a subpoena for every single arrest this cop ever did, and it would have just been a magnifying glass, and in some cases it would have been warranted, but in a lot of cases maybe not so much, right? But now Bennett has been able to prove Charlie has been able to prove in a different way that this cop oversteps his bounds. He has a history of harassment and that he's overstepping and abusing his power, because the prosecutor tried to argue and was like, well, how do we know they're telling the truth? Are we supposed to call all these people, and cross-examine them? And Charlie was like, well, I got 20 videos. We ain't even got to go that far, Your Honor, if you want to watch them. The judge was like, nah, I'm good. Do you have a motion? And so the rookie makes a motion for a directed verdict of not guilty. And the judge was like, granted, peace. And then come to find out that the guy that got their client that got arrested, he's going to actually file a civil lawsuit now that they've been able to pull all these people together against that particular cop. So I'm like, bravo, kudos to you. Now, Gwen and Bennett have a blow up because Bennett takes Gwen to this vegan class, and Gwen is like, you're trying to turn me into Allison, and I'm not Allison. I don't like vegan food. I like my meat. I like my swine. Like, I'm not her. And that's what this whole thing is about, you trying to turn me into her. So they have this, they have this big argument, and Gwen is like, look, I feel like I'm auditioning for a role, and you have all the power. Allison has all the power. Where does that leave me? And I'm like, well, bitch, you walked into this shit. Like, I don't have no sympathy for you. Like, I hear where you coming from, but I just can't have no sympathy for you. And, but she's telling him, she's like, look, I'm not going to do this with you. Like, I'm not going to spend the next 30 days auditioning or filling in time until you decide to go back to Allison. And he's like, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's not what this is. You're not auditioning. You have the role. And this is the time for us to really get to know each other. This is what we're doing. Like, no, 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 boo. And he was like, I want you. Like, this is where I want to be. And I brought you here because I really thought you would like it. Like, I'm not trying to turn you into Allison. I really like this place. I thought you would too. And so then he has the chef bring them some fried chicken, some chicken and waffles. He was like, and her little energy drink that she likes to drink. And he was like, see, I pay attention. I'm listening. He was like, I love who you are. Like, I'm not trying to change you. And so that's kind of where that leaves off. The next day they leave, and he's got himself a new apartment, and he gives her keys to the apartment. And he's like, look, let's really spend some quality time together. Like, let's really get to know each other. And, that's what I'm here for. Like, I'm not here on no bullshit. And that's where that ends. The last little thing we see is Rookie. I'm going to get her real name, y'all. Rookie, Tracy, and Charlie are at the bar. You know how they always celebrate after a big win. But Rookie's not happy. And Tracy's like, oh, yeah. Tracy picked up some dude at the bar earlier in the episode. But that, she was doing that one night stand. I just need to get some aggression out. Bullshit. But she's like, yo, you don't look happy. You just won your case. But remember, Rookie is dealing with seeing her friends through a different lens and kind of figuring out where she is. So she's happy, but she's not happy. Then Charlie comes in. He's happy, but he's not happy because, of course, he's happy he won the case. But again, it's that whole, why do black men have to deal with this bullshit situation? Like, that thing. And then, of course, Tracy is dealing with the situation with the judge. Oh, pause. She tells the judge it's over. She's in his office, and she's like, look, I'm done. And she was like, this is not a discussion. This ain't a debate. It's been real. It's been fun, but I'm done with this. And the judge was like, oh, so you think you can just end this? And she was like, I just did. But the way he said it tells me that he about to be a problem. And he about to cause some problems for Tracy. And that's not going to be cute. So back to the end of the episode. So Tracy goes over to the jukebox because Rookie done played some, what's that boy's name? Baby, 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 oh. What's that boy name? Y'all know who I'm talking about. The little white boy that Usher discovered. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Anyway. And Tracy is like, oh, hell no, we're not listening to him all night. So she goes over to the jukebox to put something else on. And it's a guy there that recognizes her, but he doesn't call her Tracy. He calls her Tess. And he calls her Tess like some crazy last name. It sounded Italian to me. And Tracy was like, I don't know what you're talking about. You got the wrong person. He was like, nah. He said, I've been looking for you everywhere. He was like, where you been? And she was like, I don't know who you're talking about. He said, Tess, you know me. Honey, she ran up out that bar like she seen a ghost. Do you hear me? And that's where the episode ends. So I don't know where we're going to pick up with this shit with Tracy. But it's interesting. Y'all know I was pissed off last week. And I still ain't crazy about this situation. But I'm telling you, Allison, I love the way how you handle that thing, girl. Allison said, your 30 days starts and mine does too. So we'll see how this plays out. Y'all drop it in them comments and tell me how y'all feel.